Okay, I just thought we could talk a little bit, check in with the Trump train, see what's going on with his transition
I haven't
and
stopped
his
smiling
team
for weeks.
and his team. So yeah, we look at who's going to be sort of ruling the United States and by proxy a lot of the world in over the next 4 years. So the first link I had there is before we talk about some of the actual personnel. The tariff stuff has keep coming up in the moment, hasn't it? The last week or so, that seems to be in the news a fair bit. They always seem to accuse. I saw Destiny, but I've seen a lot of people accuse Trump of not understanding what a tariff is.
I don't think Destiny
Stuff like
understands
that.
what a marriage is
Yeah,
or sexual propriety, judging by this Discord leak. So I'm not going to listen to him.
yeah. And it seems to have, even just the threat of certain policy changes will like move the needle on stuff, right? So, anyway, I thought just mention in passing the tariff stuff.
You're right.
What's tickled you so much?
Don't.
I do not want to talk about the Destiny leaks. No,
Yeah.
sorry.
Oh right, okay.
Moving
Right,
swiftly on.
Sorry, you caught me off guard with that.
Yeah, shouldn't have mentioned Destiny. Never mention Destiny.
You keep mentioning him, you appear like Candyman behind
Yeah.
you.
Shit.
Not like Beetlejuice, because that would be kind of whimsical and fun. No, like the murderer Candyman.
So yeah, a lot of the leftists and globalists sort of hate the idea of America standing up for itself economically in any real way, and that everyone's a loser out of it. Well, no, not at all.
Well, they don't understand.
Obviously not.
They don't understand what tariffs are used for in the Trump doctrine, because they can't assert a doctrine of national preference for any country in the Western Hemisphere because it's full of successful straight white men. But he uses them as a leveling mechanism. If they have been cheating you on intellectual property or on trade and leveling tariffs against you, Trump will match you like for like, or punish you if you're the Chinese for sending fentanyl into the country, or the Mexicans for allowing migrants to come into the country. And so you will, in order to get the tariffs lifted, meet his preferred policies, which are in American interests. Is a perfectly sensible thing to do.
I mean, it's also sensible in the fact that it's trying to discourage all of the American businesses from just offshoring everything and bring industry back. That makes a lot of sense to me, because what you're actually doing by handing a lot of industry over to China is you're empowering them on the global scale, which, if they're a geopolitical rival, that's a stupid thing to do.
Yeah, I mean, it's just in the interests of America to promote people buying American-built, American-made merchandise. What's wrong with that if you had America's interest at heart? There's nothing wrong with that. Right? Why buy a tap from China when you could buy American stuff for almost the same price, very nearly the same price anyway? If you just slaps loads of tariffs on their stuff, then it highly incentivizes people to buy American.
The argument is always, and this is a very sort of libertarian argument, which of course is a case of tactical libertarianism from leftists, which is that it will raise prices. It will raise prices. You're taking the bill and putting it on the public. That is the short-term consequence, but it doesn't seem to be taking on the idea of the long-term consequences that, yes, if it does improve industry domestically, that eventually will also lead to the prices falling again. And also, it's a question of quantity over quality. Yeah, you could, as you say, buy a lot of Chinese tat that's going to fall apart and be very, very low quality. Or if it's produced in America domestically, where they've got higher standards on things, then yeah, you're going to be getting a better quality of product as well.
Also, if you deregulate businesses, cut taxes, and ensure plentiful and cheap energy supply, the prices will themselves fall in tandem with the tariff, so it should just cancel itself out.
Okay, so going on to Trump's team, he has made a fair few picks. Whether, a lot of the cabinet ones have to get actually okayed by the Senate, and is it and Congress?
I think it's just Senate approval.
Senate, right. So whether Trump picks someone or not doesn't necessarily mean they're definitely going to get the position, but nonetheless. So we've got a fair few names on this stuff now. I suppose some of the biggest stuff is, Elon, first and foremost. The Department of Government Efficiency. Apparently he's going to put Vivek in there as well. So whether that will be a double team, I wonder whether who will be whose boss, or whether they'll sort of formally be put on the same pay grade.
I think they'll just be a partnership and just be attack dogs for the various places they want to go for. I think Elon will go for business and energy and deregulation, particularly around the tech sector, and Vivek will go for the various government departments that are clogging up the works. Like, he's had it really in for the intelligence agencies, especially since January 6th. So
yeah, I mean, I'm looking
higher
forward to that.
security.
I'm looking forward to see what they do. If it is an actual cabinet position, then one of them, assuming it's one of those two guys, is the secretary. One of them will have to be at least formally, nominally above the other. But anyway, it doesn't really matter. But
I think that Vivek would probably take the cabinet position because Elon is far too busy being amazing at Dota and sending rockets to Mars.
Okay, so that's one to keep your eye on when it happens. I wonder how quickly they'll hit the ground running on that, whether they'll do like within a few days, like when Elon took over X. Within days, wasn't it? Stuff happened and moved profoundly. Wonder whether... I'm really interested. Probably the thing I'm most interested to see is how quickly and what they do over at government efficiency. Okay, sorry, go on.
There is one thing I worry about with Vivek and Elon being involved in this.
We have the same concern.
What's this?
Which is that Vivek and Elon as well might have the temptation to get rid of a lot of inefficient people and clogging up the bureaucracy, yes.
And import elite human capital.
Yes, Indians.
Okay.
Just
They're very pro-migration, both of them.
They're very pro-elite human capital. My best case scenario would be just high IQ Europeans being brought in. But that doesn't seem to be how Elon has treated Twitter since he's come in. And Vivek... I'm sad to say the Indians are known for being very nepotistic.
Yeah.
That's just a fact.
Well, personally, this won't probably garner me many friends in our audience, but I don't like Vivek. I don't like him. I don't trust him. There's something weird about him. I don't like him. I don't buy any of his shtick.
Very intelligent, and I think he has gone to bat for Trump at, let's say, potential significant personal cost over the last couple of years. But would I want him as a successor presidential candidate, which he's obviously lining himself up for? No.
Yeah, I just don't. I've never bought that he's on the level. I don't know why. It's difficult to put my finger on exactly why.
It's that time he rapped Eminem, isn't it?
He what?
Do you not remember that?
He what now?
You know, what was it? Lose Yourself.
Oh God!
When he was on the campaign trail as a potential nominee for Republican president, he went up, did a rap in front of a big crowd of "Lose Yourself," and all of a sudden his campaign tanked.
Yeah, I remember seeing that on Twitter. I got through about 4 or 5 seconds of it. I was like, "Oh no, I can't watch this."
I'm sorry, I reminded you of that.
Yeah,
and that's when you decided, not our guy, not my guy.
I just don't. Yeah, I don't like him. Anyway, Susie Wiles is going to be his chief of staff. That was one of the first ones to come out. I don't really know much about her. Do you guys know anything else about her? I've got a few of the details of that she worked with Trump for a while, and then DeSantis for a while, and then back with Trump. And
I've heard she's a very
strong,
competent campaign organizer from the people that I know in Washington. Right. That's about it. So apparently it's a good pick from the people that want Trump to succeed.
Because the chief of staff role is absolutely pivotal thing. It's like, if the president's captain of the ship, it's like he's your first mate. It's like your first gatekeeper, or she. It's like your first gatekeeper. Looking back through chiefs of staff historically for presidents, it couldn't be more important. If they're inept or bad or corrupt in any way, that's terrible. I'm not saying she is. Like I say, I don't really know much about her at all, but I suppose just fingers crossed that she's going to be good at the job.
Was it? What's his face? Was it Kushner was chief of staff last time? Who was it?
I don't think he was chief of staff.
I know he had a lot of involvement in the White House.
Didn't Trump go through more than one?
Oh, sorry.
I think he went through more than one, but it is a pivotal thing. So at Homeland Security, he's picked that Kristi Noem.
Yeah, not great. She decided to the thing that caught the headlines about her book was that she was bragging about how she killed the family dog, which is odd. But then she also made up...
Was that a mercy killing, was it? What was the
No,
details?
it had mauled, I think, the neighbour's chickens, and so she decided to... What was it? I think she shot it. The more concerning thing was, in her book, she completely fabricated a meeting with Kim Jong-un.
Really?
Yeah, and then she had to go later on Fox News and say, I didn't actually do that. It's like it was really bizarre.
That's a really easy thing to fact check as well. Kim Jong-un.
It was strange.
Yeah, that's really... I didn't know that one. That's really embarrassing. It's really, really embarrassing, that.
Well, I just think, you could have picked... If you want someone to go to war with the deep state, I don't know, like pick someone like Jim Jordan or something, who's the head of the Weaponization of Governance subcommittee. He'd be great.
Someone who probably doesn't lie about things.
Bar low.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah, you've got to lower the bar for politicians.
So the thing
mate.
about Homeland is that they're absolutely gigantic. Like just the FBI comes under that. Loads and loads and loads of things come under the umbrella of Homeland. It's a massively powerful position.
I would have had someone who was in Congress grilling Christopher Wray or something like that.
I would want someone that was completely like as hard line as you could be. Really hard bitten, gnarled, like it would got completely their own mind. I wouldn't want anyone where there's like a shred of weakness in them. I'm not sure. I mean, she seems like a nice farm girl. She's a farm girl, right? That's her shtick, right? That she grew up on a farm and she's all American, North Carolina or whatever it is. I can't remember where.
South Dakota.
South Dakota. Sorry, South Dakota. Even more farm girl type stuff. So that's well and good. At Homeland, though, I want a badass who knows the system inside out, who's not going to let anyone stand on them for a moment. I'm not sure if she's up to it. She's got to take on the FBI. Really? Kristi Noem's going to take on the FBI at an institutional level and win, is she?
We're in the era of girl bosses. Who knows?
I hope so. I've got my fingers crossed for her. Well, there's these two. There's Kristi Noem at Homeland, and the Director for National Intelligence is going to be Tulsi Gabbard.
I would have thought you might have inverted those roles.
Right, that's not bad. That's a good point. It's not.
Well, not even. I would have thought Tulsi Gabbard for Homeland Security, and then someone, very strong for not necessarily Noem, but for Director of National Intelligence, because national, as far as I know, actually, National Intelligence would be the military, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it'd be.
Yeah, okay, no, that's more suitable then.
Yeah, all sorts of the security state come under that. So like the CIA, NSA, all sorts of stuff. So anyway, the point is, if Trump really wants to clean the swamp on his 10-point plan about cleaning the swamp out and dealing with rogue or subversive elements within the intelligence services, his 2-point people are Kristi Noem and Tulsi Gabbard. Now, they're two pretty hard individuals, reasonably, no pushover, but have they really got the steel it's going to take to turn the NSA and the FBI and the CIA inside out and upside down and force them to become something new? Have they got that inner steel in them? I fear not. It needs, like, those two positions. I just want truly sort of badass individuals. I'm not sure if they're going to be up to it. I hope they are, of course. Absolutely hope they are. Wish them the best. But they're up against it. There's certain things when you need a senior government minister to grab a government department by the collar and dominate it, dominate all the bureaucrats within it, absolutely change it. You are the dominant force there, and it will bend to your will. Right? This all sounds very authoritarian, but like being a parent or something, or if you're trying to control an aggressive, dangerous dog, or a horse that's out of control. No, you need a grasp of steel, and that we will brook no opposition to what you're doing and saying. None. That's what they would require if Trump's going to clean that swamp. I just don't know if Gabbard and Noem can do it. So anyway, I've laboured that point a bit. Best of luck to them. Marco Rubio gets Secretary of State.
Now, it's interesting because Rubio hasn't been the strongest rhetorician. Didn't he deliver the rebuttal to an Obama State of the Union address during the 2016 election cycle and had to keep leaning over and sipping water and being very awkward? Rubio is not known to be the toughest talker, though I do know that he's got a very good team around him. I have a friend on Rubio's team, and he's drafted some very strong bills trying to instantiate socially conservative policies within the military, trying to, for example, prevent them from becoming abortion stations within anti-abortion states by restricting their funding. So he is willing to crack the whip on legislation, so that's positive.
Well, one thing about being a bit softer, that's not as bad at the State Department, because you're essentially the most senior diplomat, is what you are, right, at the State Department. It's the equivalent of our Foreign Secretary. I mean, other than the President himself, who's a type of figurehead or diplomat in a sense, isn't he? Going around the world. But at the State Department, you would want someone that isn't just sort of this hardline badass, it's my way or the highway. That's not really necessarily what you want.
Maybe
you
he's the good cop to Trump's bad cop.
Maybe, yeah. Now, I don't mind Rubio. I don't love him. But we'll see how that goes for him. I was surprised. I thought that because one of the glaring omissions from this is DeSantis. He might get a job still. We don't know. It's still relatively early days, but he is a glaring error. He doesn't look like Trump's probably going to give him anything. I sort of suspected Rubio might put Rubio in the same camp, but obviously not. One thing that does spring to mind right away is that looking down 4 years down the road, Vance is going to have I would have thought, going to have a leadership rival.
Well,
in Rubio.
Rubio expected to be the VP.
Right.
He expected to get the call and didn't.
Well, if we just quickly looked ahead for in the next 4 years, I would, assuming these people during the next 4 years don't completely ruin themselves one way or another with some sort of scandal or something, I would have thought Vance, Rubio, probably Gabbard again because he's got a track record. They're gonna Vivek probably as well. They're all gonna. I don't think Vance will just get a coronation. I don't think. I think he'll have to fight for it. But we'll see how that goes. That's obviously in the future. Good day for Rubio, I think. RFK as health secretary. Sort of an amazing thing, I think, because obviously he's not a Republican. So, sort of a brilliant thing, like an old school throwback that this guy, on his own merit's really important, on his own merits, has won a place in government with the opposition party. Quite remarkable. I've got my problems with RFK, particularly in terms of economic policies and some of his social policies. He's quite a hardline lefty, actually. But
on the environment, guns and abortion, he sucks. On health,
right.
He's pretty good.
Right, exactly.
And that's what Trump's going to let him do.
Exactly. So on the COVID stuff and Big Pharma, it's great. It's great.
Just don't ask him about his reparations policy.
Right, yeah. Just don't ask him how much human growth hormone he's interested.
But I'd rather
allegedly.
I'd rather that than the gelatinous masses, as Dan Killer said on our election night, the witch of the waste from Howl's Moving Castle that's seeming to be all the health secretaries across the US and Europe.
No, I'd rather have someone that's got arms and shoulders in their 60s or however old he is than some big fat gelatinous blob. Yeah. No, of course. Yeah. Again, good luck to him. That Tom Homan as the Baldassar, he's a beast. I want guys like that at Homeland. I would want a dude like that at Homeland, and breaking up, scattering to the winds, some of the foreign intelligence services. Just a monster of a dude. Anyway, Pete Hegseth,
Yep.
as Defence Secretary.
Yep. He is a 20-year veteran of the military. Graduated from 2 Ivy League universities. Wrote the book on how to get rid of DEI in the military. Has Deus Vult and a giant cross tattooed on him. Absolute Chad. He does.
Completely.
Right.
He has said lots and lots of base things, but he's 100% on board with the Israeli project. If you scroll down a couple of paragraphs on that, you'll see. I can't remember what he says. If you love America, you should love Israel. Sort of says it all. So
that's a very strange.
No real changing of the guard there.
Given Trump's own stated personal views, I imagine that basically all of his picks are going to echo that line.
But also, okay, no matter your feelings on Israel, I'm indifferent. I've never visited. Trump's going to wrap up the conflict, so it shouldn't be in the headlines really anyway.
Well, we'll see. That's an interminable conflict. Well, it won't go away in our lifetimes.
No, but it won't be pressing for the next 4 years. Let's hope for the next 4 years of the Trump administration. There won't be a full-blown war between Lebanon, Gaza, and Israel. Hopefully.
My primary concern is that hopefully he can force people to the table to wrap up Ukraine.
That'd be nice.
That's my one, because obviously the regime as it exists right now has been all on board with that for a long time, and he isn't. So for me, given that that's in Europe, that's my most pressing concern.
Yeah, no, fair enough. There's a few other positions, but I won't necessarily go through them. The Gaetz debacle.
Yes.
You know a little bit about him. He was up for Attorney General, wasn't he?
Yes.
And powers that be sort of scuppered it And now he says he's not going to return to Congress.
Well, because he resigned, so he technically can't, unless he would be I believe he'd have to be reinstated by the rest of the Congress, if I remember correctly, and he's ticked quite a few of them off, just being very anti-establishment. So, I mean, we remember when Kevin McCarthy had a full-blown row with him on the Senate floor and sort of barged into him and all that. So, I think what Gaetz is probably going to get, he might be being lined up for Rubio's seat in Florida as a senator, because obviously Rubio's going to have to step down as a senator.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I don't feel like it's the end of his career.
No.
Right? But so did he get re-elected at the beginning of this month? Or he didn't even stand in that. He did stand in that.
Yes,
got
and he
re-elected.
Yes.
Won. Right. And
with
then
Rubio.
since then,
he's resigned from Congress. Yes. The other thing with Gaetz, and this is the Justice Department, which is highly partisan, through the investigation out and didn't charge him or anything. His appointment was done under the dark cloud, as they always do, of essentially Me Too allegations. He's denied them, his legal team's denied them. No evidence has ever come to light to suggest that. But I think he did that to basically step away so that it didn't hold up the appointments process for everyone else, which, if it, innocent man, frustrating thing, probably a noble thing to do.
Yeah, maybe. Who knows quite what's going on behind the scenes exactly. But we'll see. So running short on time. So just another couple of quick points to make. The new education secretary will be Mrs. Vince McMahon. Linda McMahon has been picked to be the education secretary of the United States of America.
Yeah, she was head of the America First policy think tank for quite a few years. So I think people are hoping that she's the shortest serving education secretary in history before he dismantles it like a Lego set.
Right. What do you mean?
Well, he said he's going to abolish the Department of Education.
Right.
So she's probably a caretaker head of
So
Department
you
of Education.
might just put her in as a joke then.
No, not necessarily a joke, but he's got a loyalist in there to help dismantle it from the inside.
Right. Okay. Want to be replaced by what? Just like the states in
Yeah.
each state do.
Yeah, before the 1970s they did that, and they had actually better
To be
outcomes.
fair, if you wanted to
It is.
dismantle it, you'd need to be ruthless, and the McMahons are nothing if not ruthless.
If anyone who might not know, Linda McMahon is the wife of Vince McMahon, the owner of WWE, formerly WWE.
Now I'm just imagining Linda McMahon going in and saying, "I want ruthless aggression."
People have said this is the first Department of Education secretary that's been playable in like NES.
As in No Mercy from 90s.
She appoints Hulk Hogan as her press secretary or something.
I think we all wanted that. We all wanted America. Embrace your true and final form. Donald Trump as president, Hulk Hogan as press secretary, Linda McMahon at education. I know he's very controversial right now, but really, Vince McMahon as chief of staff. I know he's very controversial.
We've got to dismantle the federal education system, brother.
Flexes on.
yeah. So anyway, Linda McMahon, who's done all sorts of funny things in the past. Has she had a Stone Cold Stunner done on her? Or she did one-to-one? She did one on someone, Harry?
No, she's not done a Stone Cold Stunner. She's taken one.
She's taken a Stone Cold Stunner.
Did
she sell it well?
No, she sold it terribly.
It's happened again. We're talking about wrestling.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Also, there's an amazing clip of her pretending to be paralytic, sat in a wheelchair, as Vince McMahon makes out with a much younger woman directly in front of her. So she's the first Secretary of Education that you can say that about.
It is, yeah.
I guarantee other ones have probably done worse.
Okay, and one
Almost certainly. If anything, at the sleaze level, the McMahons are probably like quite low down in Washington.
Right. And there's a bit of sleaze there.
And that's saying a lot.
Yeah. Okay, so the last point I just wanted to make is just that Trump's sentencing for all those felonies he was found guilty of has been pushed back again for some reason. Don't really know exactly the legal reasoning.
They're going to go nowhere and get dropped. That's what it looks like.
But yeah, so that was sort of, still is, I suppose, to some degree, hanging over his head. But that's just something to mention on the ongoing Trump train.
I hope you appreciated that segment from the podcast, The Lotus Eaters, and if you want to see what else we're up to, you can follow Bo's series Epochs, this time about Caesar returning to Britain. And if you want to see all the other things we're putting out, you can always follow us on Twitter. Thank you very much for watching, and goodbye.